This video is sponsored by Bellesa Boutique, B Boutique, and I'm doing a massive sex toy giveaway with them, so stay tuned for more. In the past 2 months, I have gone on, and I mean a real minimum of 100 speed dates. This is how many matches I've gotten. Now, I've learned a lot in the past 2 months of serially speed dating. And there's 2 broad reasons why I decided to start speed dating. I'd say, in all honesty, I firstly started speed dating purely for analytical reasons. All I see among disgruntled incels, femcels, and people in general on the internet is how terrible dating is. And more so than often, those references and those reference points are to their experiences on dating apps and online dating. There's such an over-reliance on dating apps, especially since the pandemic, and I don't feel people have really gotten over that over-reliance. But in the same vein, people are more open about being dissatisfied with dating apps. And for most people, online dating is proving either counterproductive, addictive, or just plain unhealthy. And it really isn't getting us to what the majority of people really want. To meaningful connections, to meaningful intimacy, and ultimately to finding love. There's clearly a mismatch between what online dating provides and what we desire. And I was curious as to alternative forms of modern dating that could bridge that gap between what is on offer and what we desire. I guess the main question that I wanted to just answer for myself was, how do you actually go on a date with somebody or ask somebody on a date off of dating apps or off of Instagram in this day and age? But just before we get into that, I'd like to give a huge thank you to today's video sponsor, Bellesa. And I'm so thrilled to be collaborating with them. I actually got my first ever sex toy from Bellesa Boutique, so this is a personal one. If you don't know, Bellesa is a bi-woman company for all things sexual fulfillment and sexual wellness. The company's mission is to empower everybody to explore, embrace, and celebrate their sexuality. And Bellesa's products have been integral to that exploring and embracing in my own personal life. All your B Boutique favorites come in discreet, compact, protective casings and are fully USB rechargeable inside their casings. My favorite toy is the Air Vibe, and I have found that I'm quite partial to its dual stimulation functions, and I must thank it for helping me to discover my G-spot. The variety of patterns means that I can find what truly works for me. Nothing is ever uncomfortable or unpleasant or dissatisfactory, and I love how I can alter it to my body and to what I like personally. And I mean, just look at it, it's so pretty. And the great thing about Bellesa Boutique is that you can find any toy to meet your particular preferences and pleasures. Toys like the Thump are an all-in-one with suctions, vibrations, and innovative thump technology. Or a smaller toy like the Pebble is ergonomically built to fit perfectly in your hand, giving you full control. It is absolutely incredible what this little Pebble can do. I was most impressed. All Bellesa's products are waterproof, and being made from premium quality silicone, are easily washable and durable. And I really love how quiet they are at all preferred pattern modes. I can enjoy myself without being paranoid, which is precisely what we want here. Now, B Boutique is kindly collaborating with me to bring you a fantastic giveaway. Everyone, yes, I mean everyone, who signs up using my unique link down below wins toys or gift cards for toys. Now remember, that is everyone who signs up. Bellesa and I are literally sending you free vibrators and gift cards for vibrators by using my special link down below. How amazing is that? I would sign up if I could. Thank you so very much to Bellesa Boutique for sponsoring this video and for this absolutely incredible giveaway, and I sincerely hope that you enjoy as much as I have been. I wanted to see for myself whether it was actually possible to answer that question in a post-Me Too digitalized age where workplace romances are no longer a thing, where we are reckoning with the main places where we meet people and form intimate relationships with people, whether that is actually possible. Can we do it? Can we actually do it? Or are we doomed to inevitably having to settle for online dating in all its precarity? And I'd say secondly, I had my personal reasons. I live alone, I work alone, I spend all of my time alone. Oh, and just to add, I know my American viewers get confused with this when I say I live alone. I live in like a shared house with people, but we all have our own rooms. So I do live alone. In the UK, shared housing is the most popular form of housing for young people and increasingly for most people because the housing market is just terrible. So Yes, I live alone, but I do live in a shared house. And because of this, I have to find alternative means to meet people and to make new friends. I think there's a very important and difficult transition from saying I'm lonely to actually doing something about it. For instance, volunteering, joining new groups, meeting up with new groups, finding new hobbies. And I think one of the most difficult things that we have to reckon with is when we have to take time out of our leisure time, the time that we have to recuperate from our work, from the outside world, from social stress and anxiety. We take that very precious time to ourselves in order to put ourselves into uncomfortable and awkward situations and new, very vulnerable situations with no guarantee of a positive outcome or success. And so that's why I tried speed dating. I wanted to turn that I'm lonely into actually doing something concrete about it. And I must say that that was very, very difficult, which was why I forced myself to sign up to so many speed dating events, because then I would be obliged to actually follow through with my commitment. Because if you don't know me, you probably don't know that I have a rather pathologically low self-image and self-esteem. I hide it very well by editing alone in my very dark room. And it's been and continues to still be a very stunting force within me that really holds me back, that really forms a lot of my opinions about myself and about how people will respond to me. And I have decided to put myself out there because I think that that is the only way that I can wean myself into hopefully one day actually having a far better image and perception of myself. I have found time and time again that dating apps merely reinforce that pathological sense of my low self-esteem and image, and it just turns into this perpetual cycle. And so I wanted to do something about that. So let me give you a brief outline of what speed dating is. And when I'm speaking about speed dating and my speed dating experiences, I am talking about in real life speed dating. I know now there's a lot of online speed dating events. I have not tried any of those, so I do not have any recommendations or analyses into that at all. This is purely in real life speed dating that I'm talking about and that I am going to be trying to advocate for in this video. But what speed dating involves is usually a select group of no more than 20 people. And I like this, and I like the dynamic of this, because in each group, every person matters. Everybody has to pay to be a part of that particular group. And if you don't show up, you affect the entire dynamic of the speed dating event. I have been to speed dating events where there has been a no-show of somebody, and it has really altered the entire sort of experience because everybody is referenced, everybody is labeled, and people miss out on a date, somebody is sitting there alone. So there is definitely that aura of commitment that you are really in it when you sign up to these events. And I think that's a very, very good thing in this day and age with a lot of ghosting going on, especially on online dating. Basically, there's a major incentive to show up and to commit to your purchase. If you don't want a very strongly worded email, or you don't want to feel like you've let not only other people down, but I would say yourself down as well. So during the speed dating event, you will have a 5 to 10 minute date with every single other person there. Each person has a ballot, or in some cases you will have an actual app that is particular to the speed dating event or the particular speed dating agency, and you will have everybody's name and number listed on your ballot sheet. And you can decide then and there whether you want to pursue another date with them by ticking yes or otherwise. Most events that I've gone to have had a written ballot sheet, and after the event you can tick your yeses and your nos, or you can discreetly do it if you so wish. And with all the events that I've gone to, what typically happens is that you have to submit who you want to match with and who you don't want to match with to the speed dating host within 12 hours of the event ending, and they will contact you within 48 hours, or in some cases even as long as a week, with your matches. The last speed dating event I went to was last week, and I am drained of speed dating right now because it has been a long 2 months. I have, when I say been serially speed dating, I truly mean that I have been serially speed dating. I have gone on, I would say, just based on the events, there have been no-shows at particular events. Some events have had 40 people, some have had 20 people. One I went to had 12 people. That was perhaps the best one that I went to. But I'd say, just as a ballpark figure, I have gone on about 120 to 130 speed dates. So I'd say a minimum of 100 speed dates insofar as the dates that I can actually remember in my head, that I can recall the conversations that I had that were memorable. So, in my opinion, now that I have settled down, that I am back home full time, that I am now cocooning back in my environment and ostracizing myself from the outside world again, I would say that speed dating right now is an imperfect solution to dating apps. And I say that they are imperfect because they are by no means perfect. You are still making a snap judgment of a person based on a 5-minute conversation. But why I say that they are a solution is because they have really exposed something quite earth-shattering for me, which is not so much the speed dating event itself, but more so the environment that is created before and after the speed dating event. With every single event I've gone to, there's been at least a 30-minute time to socialize before the speed dating actually commences, and afterwards there is a sort of mandatory 30 minutes to just have drinks and talk and socialize with people as well. And what I found at about 90% of these events is that after the speed dating event, that is when the real conversations start to happen. That is when you can actually go and really talk to and meet people. That is when, interestingly, either the whole group of people form into a sort of group of friends in a way and form a WhatsApp group, or make plans to meet at some other event or some other thing going on, or people form into their little, I guess you could call them cliques, but I wouldn't be as sort of derogatory as that. I'd say that they form more so into sort of groups of people. And it's very interesting to see how people pair off after the events. I'm not sure how it would be in the US, but in the UK at least, most of these speed dating events are hosted in cocktail bars or in a private room at a pub or a bar. So it's a very social and convivial sort of environment to actually have conversations, to interact with people, to talk with people. It's a very good atmosphere. And I can tell you the stories that you will be able to tell if you go to these events are stories that I would never even imagine I would be part of myself personally. I mean, the last speed dating event that I went to, I actually got taken out afterwards on a date to a casino. Yes, I was arm candy and a sugar baby to a very wealthy butch lesbian, and it was a fascinating experience. My analytical brain was on heat. I was so intrigued by the entire experience. If you want me to make a separate video just about that, I would love to, because I have so many thoughts, so many feelings, and so much about how people date. It's fascinating. It was honestly one of the most interesting experiences that I've had in quite a long time. So do let me know in the comments if you'd like a story time, a very interesting, I guess, story time, not just about the date itself, but sort of, I guess, more analytically about how people pair off and sort of how people look for partners and sort of attraction and these sorts of things. I find that very interesting. I do feel quite bad because she handed me a wad of cash and I lost all of it. I did not know what I was doing. But yes, happy thoughts. But now I want to share with you the positives of speed dating and why I think you need to try speed dating if you have given up on dating apps, if you are disillusioned by dating apps, if you are disillusioned by dating in general. I would implore you to try speed dating at least a couple of times, because even though I've gone on a minimum of 100 speed dates, I have only gotten 2 matches and they haven't gone anywhere. I can make a video about that as well if you'd like. Let me know in the comments again if you'd like a video about that. I don't really know. Sometimes, just a little tangent, I don't know how open I should be on the channel. I don't know, because I do find that the more open I am with people in my personal life, the more they dislike me. So I don't know whether to put more of myself here. So do let me know. I would be very interested in that feedback. It would be very helpful just for future content and future references. So I thank you in advance. But even though I've only gotten 2 matches, I am so happy that I have started speed dating and that I have gone to these speed dating events. And I will tell you exactly why, because I think it's very important. Firstly, I've gotten my foot in the door where I otherwise would never have. With the 2 matches that I've gotten, in which I have gone on further dates with these 2 individuals, I cannot imagine that if we had seen each other on dating apps, that we would have swiped right on each other. And just on a personal note, being black, my odds are already lower on dating apps than any other racial group and demographic. And being in the UK and a very substantial minority, and just where I live in the UK, I already know that my odds are incredibly low. And so going on speed dates has meant that I have actually gotten my foot in the door where I otherwise would never have. I've spoken to people who realize when they speak to me that actually we can have a really good conversation, that actually they may like me, and in those 2 cases that actually they would like to go on a second and even third date with me. And this works vice versa as well, because I have found myself attracted to people who I would have never thought that I would be attracted to. And that's been a very eye-opening and self-reflective experience for me as well. And I would imagine for a lot of the other people who go to these events as well. The second reason why I think speed dating is so much better than online dating, and why I think you should speed date if you are looking to meet someone, is because there is a far smaller pool of people. There is an oftentimes ignored advantage in having a far smaller pool of people to choose from. And I would say that this is really my favorite part of speed dating. Dating apps have created the illusion of choice. They create a fear of missing out mindset among people. They also create this perception that when you're talking to one person, you are inevitably paranoid because you are missing out on having a far better conversation with somebody better looking, somebody who is better emotionally for you. People are playing a numbers game. They are trying to get as many likes out as possible to increase their odds. Or they are trying to just get through the numerous likes that they are receiving from people who are generally just disappointing to them. In all of this, dating apps market themselves as being this great place where there's more choice and more variety, when in actual fact that creates more problems for us than otherwise. It's like being a kid in a candy store. At the end of the day, you either overconsume too much candy and just end up throwing up, or you can't decide, and the fact that you can't decide ruins the entire experience in the first place. Or when you make a decision, you are always thinking that you could have made a better decision because that candy may have been better than the one that you've actually taken. And so you don't end up enjoying that candy anyway. And so what I found at these speed dating events is that you go there, you have this select group of people that you can choose from. And so you're not thinking about anybody else. You're not thinking that there is a better option out there. You're so anxious about the event, about the then and there, about being present then and in that moment, that there really isn't much time to be paranoid about other prospects that are out there beyond this event. And my general experience at all of these events that I've gone to has been one that I would call a 180 experience. Basically, I go to these events, I go into the room that it's hosted in, the cocktail bar, what have you. I'll have a first impression of who I'm attracted to. There'll typically be at least 2 people who I am somewhat attracted to, and I think, yes, okay, I know who I would like to potentially go on a second date with. By the end of the speed dating, I have done a complete 180. 9 times out of 10, the people who I initially found attractive, I no longer find attractive, and it's actually the people who I paid no attention to when I first went into the event, who I'm attracted to and who I want to go on a second date with. And I think for me, this has really exposed the true power of engaging with a person rather than a profile. You are in full proximity and touch with a person's scent, with their smell, with their dexterity, with their particular idiosyncratic quirks, with the way that they hold themselves, how they present themselves. You see their little insecurities or their little shy ways of doing things and what have you. You're really in touch with a human being, a full human being in all their truth and honesty, at least insofar as they are presenting themselves to you. And I think this is another thing that I quite like about these events. People can't sort of feign an appearance or an image for very long, especially when you are going on such high intensity dates in such a frequent and short span of time. You really can't keep up an image of pretense for very long. It's been fascinating to me, but also so revealing to me to witness how my preferences actually emotionally and instinctively manifest, which is not in the way that I would preemptively imagine that they would. And I think we all know this deep down. I think we all know that our particular preferences for particular kinds of aesthetics and people and individuals with particular kinds of things going on really don't match up to what we actually find ourselves attracted to when we get to know somebody or when we're face to face with particular people. I think social media creates this comfortable yet false illusion that we know our preferences, that we can find our preferences, but in actual fact, things are a lot more in-depth than that. The heart cannot be so predictably or consistently determined.
Talk dirty to me.
Oh yes, conversation skills. This is another incredible thing about speed dating. It is scary and completely horrifying to put yourself out there. It really is. No matter how many speed dates I have gone on, I still feel this intense anxiety for at least the first 20 minutes of being in a speed dating event. And I have found it so advantageous having to make conversation, having to make different conversation, an interesting conversation with a number of different people, with different personalities and different energies in very short bursts of time. So at one of these events, I was very attracted to this woman. And I know that I'm very attracted to somebody when we are the complete opposite, and that means nothing to me. She was very into astrology, and in my mind, I was saying, I know nothing about astrology. I have no real interest in astrology, but I will grab a pen and paper. I will write notes. I will read notes. I will do research, and I will write a PhD on astrology as long as you are teaching me. Anyway, during our conversation, she wanted to show me something on her phone, and I just remember my heart sinking because I saw her screensaver and her lock screen, and both of them were of some famous blonde hair, beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, vivacious, stereotypically like gorgeous surfer woman. And I knew I had no chance. I just knew. I knew from that. I was like, okay, I can see that you have a particular type of woman and I do not meet that. So my heart sank. But at the same time, I was in the midst of a very, very interesting, good conversation. And I could have just sort of retreated into myself and into my shell, could have not been as confident going into that date as I was initially. But I had to make a snap decision. And I decided, you know what? This is a very rare opportunity for me. Firstly, I'm very attracted to this woman. I do not know why, but I am. And secondly, because I'm attracted to her, I can actually flirt with her, and it is genuine flirting. I'm genuinely flirting with a woman who I'm actually attracted to. And so this firstly allows me the opportunity to practice flirting, and it also offers me an opportunity to try and see whether my flirting works, whether she actually reciprocates and actually likes me and may want to go on a second date with me. And that's what I really like about speed dating. Because you go on so many dates with people, you can actually try things out. You can actually try your, as pickup artists call it, your quote-unquote game. I've actually discovered that I can flirt. And I tried things that I would not have in my wildest dreams thought I could do. I flirted so hard with this woman. I was staring not into her eyes. When I say I was staring into her soul, I could see the bottomless pit of abandoned surfer girls, okay? I was touching her hands, complimenting like her skin, her tattoos, caressing her tattoos, having a good giggle and things that were probably not very funny on reflection. I remember she said that she liked the smell of the bar, and I said, actually, that's not the bar, that's me, it's my perfume. And she said, oh really? And I was like, yes, take a whiff. I was putting it on, just layers. If it was a cake, the amount of frosting that I was just slapping onto it was just so obvious, but it was so much fun. Did it work? No, it didn't work. She did not match with me, unfortunately, but I am so happy that I was able to actually try flirting with somebody who I was actually attracted to, and to prove to myself that it wasn't the end of the world that she didn't reciprocate my feelings. Moral of the story, the flirting didn't work insofar as why I was flirting, but she did reciprocate my flirting, and we were having a lot of back and forth flirting throughout the night, which I really enjoyed, and it really boosted my confidence in the moment, and it was just such good practice just for the future. I was quite proud of myself actually for really putting it on thick. And so I found this helpful, ironically, in being able to now tell whether somebody is or isn't attracted to me. And I'm pretty much in tune with that. I get that sort of right most of the time when I'm at these dating events. And this is another reason why I think that speed dating is so much better than online dating. Now, as I said, of the at least 100 speed dates that I have gone on in the past 2 months, I have only gotten 2 matches. Now, I thought this would be soul crushing. And interestingly enough, after the first speed dating event I went to, it was definitely soul crushing. It was very hard. I felt terrible about myself. I didn't want to do it ever again, but I told myself that I had to. And I had signed up for another speed dating event, so I actually had no choice. I had to go. And I think that is the best thing that you can do, is that you sign up to several of these events over the course of like a few months or however long you want, really. I would say take a break, because it is very exhausting after a night of having to be fully you and fully engaged with about 19 other people. It is far more exhausting than you would actually think. But having signed up to other speed dating events, I couldn't wallow in my misery and in a sense of just being completely crushed by not getting any matches. And I also thought that I would be soul crushed and upset and sort of unable to recover after the 2 matches that I did get. After I went on dates with them, they both decided that they just wanted to be friends. Yes, it was disappointing, and in one case I definitely know that it was about my race and somebody wanting to be a lot more progressive than they actually are. Another bane of my existence when it comes to dating. And it most definitely did take me a few days to recover from that. That was quite a revealing final date that we had, but I lived. And what I found most revealing and what I was quite proud of in myself was that after all of this rejection that I've been getting after every single speed dating event that I've gone to, that I actually have kept going, and it hasn't demotivated me in going, and it hasn't actually been as soul-crushing as I thought that it would be, as soul-crushing as being rejected on a dating app has been and has felt like. And I would say that this is a main reason why people don't actually go to these speed dating events. We are so afraid of rejection. We are so petrified by it, and I most definitely am. Although speed dating has confirmed a lot of the beliefs that I have held, a lot of beliefs about, for instance, racial preferences and about my race when it comes to dating. Of all the speed dates I have been on, I have been the only black person, except at one event where there was one other black woman, and we are actually friends now. And she told me that I'm the first black person that she's actually met at one of these events. And she's much older than me, and it's been very interesting talking to her about dating and what it's like in the UK as a black woman. So I found that very, very interesting indeed. And so, you know, the first events that I went to, it was quite nerve-wracking. I did feel sort of very alone. So going alone every single time and being the only black person, at least visibly black person there, has definitely been an interesting experience. And I did go in thinking I'm not going to get matches because I'm black. And I haven't gotten matches, but at the same time, I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because I'm black. Maybe it's because of other reasons. I'm sure it's because of other reasons as well. But even though a lot of my beliefs and a lot of my sort of thoughts about how I'm going to be received and perceived and whether I will get matches or not have been confirmed, it hasn't dissuaded me. And it hasn't gotten to me in the way that I thought that it would. And I think it's because of the human element of speed dating that is just missing from dating apps. Because I actually have conversations with people, I've made friends with people, I've gotten to know them, it has really demystified sort of the reasons as to why people reject me or may be rejecting me. It has added another layer of complexity, which isn't that people reject me because they're self-entitled bitches who just don't like me and da 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 da. It has added a sort of layer of they've rejected me because they've probably connected more so with somebody else, or they just don't want to get to know me, or, you know, maybe they just don't like black people. Whatever. Things like that. It adds a different layer so that I'm not just reinforcing and perpetuating a particular narrative in my mind that is void of another human and their reasons, valid reasons for not wanting to match with me or not wanting to go on a date with me. And so it's been quite incredible that even though I haven't gotten matches, even though I haven't been of interest to the vast majority of people there, I have still had great conversations. I have still met great people. I have had incredibly interesting experiences, like going to a casino. And I think in this sense, speed dating has been important. I have found that contrary to dating apps, it isn't a numbers game, it's a life game. I live rural, so I have to travel into major cities. I have to actually plan in advance to go to these events. I have to put in the time and effort into my beauty regimen, into my makeup, into how I smell, into my attire, into how I'm going to present myself. And I have to prepare myself in advance, not just for rejection and not getting the outcome that I desire, but also being pretty certain that I'm going to be the only person that looks like me there. And that's why I say that it is a life game and not a numbers game. It's not terribly strategic. You can't be strategic about things. And I don't think you can be strategic or gaming about human emotion and relationships. In life, you put in far more than you typically get out. I put far more into these events than I get out insofar as matches and a desired outcome is concerned. But in a roundabout sort of way, I actually do and have gotten out far more than I would have ever imagined in the way of confidence, of conversational skills, of practicing my flirting, and in actually realizing that I can survive rejection and go on from it and keep going on for it and actually take something very meaningful from that. And as I've said, my efforts strongly outweigh what I get out of these events insofar as matches and dates are concerned. But it has somehow been worth it in proving to myself that I can do this, that I can talk to people, that I can actually put myself out there. And another great thing about these events is that even if you don't find love, you can find friendship. And just for all of my red pill viewers out there, men and women can be friends and necessarily have to be friends. There is no meaningful relationship without friendship, and it is vital to forming the foundation and longevity of any relationship that you can possibly hope to have, whether that relationship be platonic or romantic. Treat all your pursuits as individuals in their own rights, not as groups or as body parts. And that's been really, really crucial to me, forming friendships with people, actually having conversations with individuals, talking to them after the events, etc. So yes, thank you so very much for watching this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I have a very, very busy month of content coming out this month, so I would love for you to be here for that. And I do hope that if you are looking to date, you find speed dating a potential option, an alternative to dating apps and to your current experiences of dating. And I'll see all of you very, very soon in the next one.